Speaking of essential personnel, Andy Brickley joins us right now. Brick! Oh, my gosh, it's so good to see you. Let's start here because we have so much hockey to talk about, my friend. But let's start with the weather. Where are you posted up at? How you doing? You got everything you need, Brick? You got all the bread and the milk? What's going on with you? Talk to us.
Well, I had the benefit of having my wife home and my two grown daughters up from New York City. So I was well taken care of. The planning was done. The execution was done. We were prepared for the blizzard. It reminds me of 1978 when I was a junior in high school.
There you go, Joe.
I was actually when the first day it came, we were my father and I were down in Hartford, Connecticut. My brother George was a star hockey player at Trinity College. And we took a chance. We went down to catch a home game, and then we were battling the elements, trying to come up 128 and get back into Melrose in time before we had to abandon the vehicle. So that was a close call. Wow. And I thought I heard you guys mention in the 3 blizzards in a row. I think that was 2015.
Yep.
And I think it was this time of year, and the Bruins were doing their Western Canadian swing. And ironically, while there was 3 blizzards back to back to back here, there wasn't a snowflake on the ground in Calgary.
Wow.
And Calgary likes to get cold fast, from what I've heard.
Yeah, that's out in the plains, It's out there in the plains with Edmonton and Alberta. And, it was one of those, just one of those rare occasions where they didn't have snow and we were getting killed back here in Boston.
Wow. Go ahead, Case. You're the hockey queen. Break it on down.
I'm going to start with something very basic, Brick, because me and Sophia just chatted on the Hockey Hub the other day. But emotions, reactions, how are you feeling about USA claiming gold yesterday? And more importantly, the fact that everyone said it doesn't have the same magnitude as 1980, but Ruzioni said himself, this is the team that's going to create a whole new declaration for American hockey.
Yeah, that's where the impact will be, no doubt about it. And, we could argue whether it's on the same level with 1980. It's hard because they were amateurs, and this is the National Hockey League players that are participating in the Olympics. But it truly was a spectacle, such drama, such theater. It was everything I think everybody wanted that believes that Canada and U.S. are the 2 superpowers when it comes to the best hockey in the world. So we certainly got our wish. We got such a competitive game. It was one of those situations, one play or one performance was going to decide. It's not a best of 3. It's not a best of 7. It is just a one-game elimination. Win or go home. And you get to that point, and silver does not ring very true for any of these guys. It's all about winning that gold medal. And the feeling that just waves over me is pride. I'm proud of the sport that we make our living around. I'm proud that the NHL players, once they made the decision to go, because Case, you remember when we talked about it the other day, if I had a vote, I would say don't go to the Olympics. Do your World Cups, do your Canada Cups, do your rendezvous. I enjoyed that. That was impactful on me in my upbringing. But once they decide, then I'm going to get behind it because it is best on best. Wish the Russians had a team, but it is best on best. And for the way it played out, and the entertainment, the skill, the speed, the talent, the camaraderie, the pride, wearing the red, white, and blue, wearing the maple leaf, playing for your country, playing for those that came before you, playing for those that are going to come after you. Unbelievable things in this sport, but that was awesome entertainment.
Hey, Andy, Joe Murray, nice to meet you, man.
Hey, Joe.
I wanted to just ask, you just talked about the moment. I was watching. I was up early on a Sunday, which, I'll watch football, I guess, at 9:30 too in London, but this was way better than that. This had the theater, like USA, Canada. Do you think this could now give the NHL the bump for the rest of the year and get more eyes on the game? How far can this really go for the game and for the game of hockey in the NHL now here in the second half after winning gold?
I certainly think it can give a bump to certain markets based on performances by individual players. I think Jersey will get a bump because of, the game-winning goal and the impact that Jack Hughes had. I think, the Bruins, with their first game coming out of the break, is going to be Columbus. Columbus winning the break. 7 wins in a row, one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League, 4 points out of a playoff spot, both in the division and chasing down Boston. Not to get into Bruins talk too early, but the way Werenski played, I think might give them a bump. Not that they need it. They made a coaching change. That's going to give them a bump. I think certain markets that could use a bump based on some of the individual performances and the success of the tournament across the board, I think it will give the National Hockey League, a little bit more, tangible eyeballs, people interested watching. The playoff races in itself this year in particular, this late in the season with the trade deadline just, a little over a week away, I think all of that really makes the National Hockey League must pay attention to sport.
Yeah, let's get into the Bruins because, listen, they're back Thursday night. We can talk about that game in a minute. But you went there with the playoff races and all the things shaping out the way they are. I'm looking right now, Bruins, we know, right there at that last wild card spot, Brick. Just sort of gut feel. And from what you've watched with this team, does this feel like a playoff team to you? Do you think this team, when the smoke clears, will be there?
I had so many questions about this team coming into the year. There were so many ifs, so many unknowns, starting with a first designed for a rebuild that was not going to happen within 12 months. Yet they've really outpaced, I think, what everybody thought this team was going to be. And that's the good news. That's the good news. You got to like the way they play, the way they compete, the way they play for their coach, the way they play for each other. Do they have a shortage of high skill, high end talent as opposed to some of the teams they're going to compete with down the stretch? The answer is probably yes. But this is the ultimate team sport, and you win as a team. And I think because the Bruins are in the position that they're in, and it's going to be a very interesting lead up to the trade deadline. Bruins got 4 games. They play some very interesting teams leading into that March 6th deadline. And then what are the Bruins going to do? What is their assessment of their team? I'm sure they have plan A and plan B, but they're going to lean on plan A based on what they've seen to this point in the season. Will they be sellers? Will they be buyers? Will they be both? Do they feel like they are a playoff team? Because I think they do. I think they believe in what they do, the way they play. There are some areas that they need to clean up and get much better at down the stretch. But I think the Bruins believe they're a playoff team. I've been pleasantly surprised by the success, the amount of wins, 32 wins at this point in the season. I had the under on that going into the season, so I'm surprised. But I'm also a beneficiary of the success that they've had. But, it's going to be interesting. I mean, so many teams in the same position, 25 games, 48 days. I mean, that's every other day. That's playoff pace. With travel, you're going to have 3s and 4s, 4s and 6s, 6s and 9s, and it's going to be a test of attrition. It's going to be a test of depth of roster, and it's going to be a test of do you believe in the way that you play? And I think the Bruins, that's their biggest challenge going into this postseason drive down the last whatever it is 6-7 weeks of the season, and they've convinced me that they're playing meaningful games in April.
I want to circle back to the bump and visibility conversation because there were so many amazing storylines that went into the Olympics on both sides. But, everyone was kind of tracking Connor Hellebuyck's journey and how he didn't play on certain avenues in order to get to the big stage. But I think something else that you saw out there on social media was just the trajectory that Charlie McAvoy has had, overcoming these injuries and playing the way that he did in Milan was absolutely insane. So considering that kind of energy, that honor, and, what he meant to that USA team, how does that give the Bruins a jump in this second half push and kind of really solidify that postseason competition? Because you're talking about him being one of the best defenders on the best of best stage.
He had a great tournament. He was having a great Four Nations tournament until he got hurt. He loves this environment. He plays better when he plays with star players because of the way he plays, the way he sees the games, the physicality. When you ask him to defend, he's all in. He relishes that opportunity. He'll leave the offense. I know he's, point guy in the power play for Boston, but you got a Quinn Hughes, you got a Werenski. You defer to those guys when it comes to the offensive end of the game. So, I'll play alongside you and I'll defend, and we'll go against the top talent on the other team, and we'll get the job done because I'm going to be on the ice for a lot of the hockey game. He's one of the leaders of this team. And think about it. They don't have a Crosby, right? They don't have a 38, 39-year-old guy on Team USA that's the obvious leader. Austin Matthews was their captain, and even that took some heat on social media, as you guys know. But he had a very good tournament as well. So when I think about Charlie McAvoy, we thought this was going to be the year for the Boston Bruins where he kind of took control of the room. You know, he would accept the torch as the next clear-cut leader of this Boston Bruins team. As much as what we loved from David Pastrnak last year after the trade deadline, how he really kind of took control of the room and really stepped up as a leader. We thought, certainly, I won't speak for everybody, but I know our remote team felt that this was going to be Charlie's year to step up and be the leader of this Boston Bruins team. And it quite hasn't happened for a number of reasons, injury being part of it. But when you see him carry himself, comport himself, conduct himself on this stage as a leader, as a physical presence, as a guy that's in it to win it and defer and accept a role, I think that's just so impressive. And if he can come back and be that leader for the rest of the year because of this experience, I mean, that's such a home run. That's one of the benefits of this tournament, that individual players can get a real bump. You mentioned Hellebuyck, right? Hellebuyck, how is he not the MVP of that tournament?
Oh.
I mean, he was unbelievable how good he was. You know, the numbers aside, you could build numbers during the prelim, right? I mean, they were in an easy bracket. Canada was an easy bracket. You could put up some numbers. All right, when you get to the quarterfinals, are you going to advance? Because it's one and done. It's elimination time. Right. And he wins an overtime game in the quarters. Has an easier time because they're able to handle the Slovaks in the semis. And then the performance he has in the gold medal game. I mean, he's going to go back to Winnipeg a different man. Yes. You know, the narrative has changed on Connor Hellebuyck. It's going back to being, wow, this guy's a 3-time Vezina, and this is why. We saw it here on the biggest stage.
That's right. That's right. Well, Brick, you always show up on the biggest of stages, too. We appreciate you, my man. Stay warm, stay dry, stay cozy. It's cool your family's there. That's hey,
there
USA, Brick! USA, baby! We appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Good to see you, Brick.
Thank you.